Nancy, and welcome to another edition of Afternoon Express. It's a Tuesday, so you ladies know already what that means. It means we are cooking along side by side, you at home. But I'm not alone. I am here with some incredibly talented chefs in the kitchen. Of course, we've got our darling chef Anele.
Yeah, but it's fine.
But do you know what I love about you, Anele?
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yes.
You bounce back every time we're in the kitchen. You're filled with tips and tricks. I love that. So you've got some chilies for us.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what you're going to do with that.
But Sayana knows everything that I'm going to do.
Okay, before we get to our special guest, let's head over to Chef Dumi. How are you doing, girl?
I'm doing good, girl. It's hot in the kitchen today.
Yes.
Like we are going in deeper and deeper. But anyway, let's like you said, let's
Leave the surprises until last. Of course, South Africa, you might be wondering who is standing beside me, looking ever so beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me. It is the Indigenous food revivalist. It is Ziana Khan. So you seem...
Thank you very much.
So you seem to have something special for us today, and I'm very excited because we are tackling all things fermentation in the kitchen.
We are. And we're going to dive a little bit into fermentation. And today our fermentation lead, the host, the real host here, is going to be the Clover Bliss yogurt. And we're going to see how we can use one product in a variety of applications through fermentation to make dishes that we all know and love because of heritage. We're going to start off by making a labna, which is a kind of a yogurty cheese. And we'll separate that into the curds and the whey, which we have here. And that will then go on to make some other recipes, like Anel has got some fermented chili sauce that she's going to make for us, which will then go into a chili chakalaka, which we'll be eating with some fricadelles.
Absolutely delicious.
And then we've got some, Dumi's going to make us some ketchup that we'll be using the whey for. And then we'll also be making some snook pate, that we'll be using the whey with, and then a cheesecake, a spickworm cheesecake.
Now, South Africa, you already know that it is Heritage Month, and we are drawing near to the end of September. So if you would like to be making this local is liquor dish and reviving all things fermentation and Indigenous food, please do head over to afternoonexpress.co.za and you can get these ingredients and the recipe. But ladies, let's get cooking. I'm very excited on social media. Don't forget to engage with us throughout the show. We are asking you, fill in the blank. Blank, I can add it to anything. I wonder what I would say salt. But let's not give away our answers just yet. Let's hear from South Africa throughout the show. But let's get cooking.
Yay! Okay, so we'll start off with making... Should we make the labna first?
Yes.
And then we can separate and show everybody how they're going to make.
Okay.
Do me, please, if you can pass the labna
Sure,
my way.
definitely. This is quite a contraption here. You maybe let us know what exactly that is.
So Dumi yesterday hung this up. So basically decanted a bliss yogurt. And so what then happens is, if you can just lift the bowl up to show us, you've got this, like all the liquid that lives inside this little bakkie then drips out from this cheesecloth. And you want to basically do this because you want to keep the essence, the yogurty goodness. And I'll show you what that looks like. So we put it in our bowl. This contraption is so smart.
I love this. So this specific technique, is this something that we can find throughout the fermentation process and in creating a labna? Or is this something specifically special that we've kind of put together here?
Exactly. Whenever you're making things like cheese, for example, when you need to extract the liquid out of something, the cheesecloth becomes so simple, a simple way to do that. And you can use a fadu, you can use any cloth that has enough holes in it, so it's not entirely...
Must be breathable.
Must be breathable.
Okay.
Because you want the liquid to drain through. So the one method is to do it as Dumi's done there, but you can also simply take a jar that's kind of big enough. You want enough space, so I usually just put my whole fist into it and then secure it with a elastic. This is a great project to do with kids also.
I love that.
To do, right?
And, you know, at Afternoon Express, we are a family. Everyone likes to get involved and get stuck in when it comes to cooking. And it's always nice to have something fun for the kids to do and get involved with when they're making food. Because, you know, sometimes we want to make sure that they know what's good and what goes into making dinner. But at the same time, it's a nice bonding experience.
And it's totally fun. And then, you convince them much easier to work in the kitchen with you.
Yeah. Yes, I love that.
So now this, and don't worry, this literally takes, you're going to give it about a day or a night. Ne? So the best thing is to do it overnight and then let it hang. And by the morning, you'll have some liquid. Sometimes, because it's like the double cream tends to have less liquid in it.
Yes.
And so we just need to be mindful of that. So if you have a less creamy kind of yogurt, you'll get more liquid out of it.
So, Jan, I just want to ask you, do you leave that in the fridge or outside too?
Outside.
Outside, okay.
But now there's two different ways to do it.
Yeah.
That we must be mindful of. The one is that if you want it in a sweet application, like we're going to make cheesecake, for example,
yeah,
you hang it net so. If you want to use it, like with the double cream, it'll work very well also, and you want to extract more liquid, you add salt to it first.
Oh, yes.
And just, I mean, like a sprinkling,
yeah.
teaspoon, basically, just to give it that salt kick, because the salt helps to extract all that liquid.
Yes.
Look,
Right?
Zayn, I know we're going on about fermentation, but I think I'd like you to just maybe break it down for South Africa. What actually is fermentation and what is it good for?
So fermentation is creating food with the help of invisible friends, the microbes, the bacteria, the yeast. And so we make, yogurt is taking milk and using bacteria to make yogurt.
Yes.
The same thing process to make cheese. But also we see examples here all over the jars. These are lactoferments where you kind of sink things into salt water, and that helps to process bacteria and yeasts to make it very probiotic. We've heard this word before.
Yes.
Probiotic. It's very good for our gut, intestinal health, and in fact also for our mental health, for all kinds of health.
I like
so
that.
it's very important for us to integrate it. So I quickly want to show you one way that you can prepare the labna as is. This one is quite thick, so we take a little bit of salt.
Okay.
Well, let's actually divide it up first because we want to keep some for a sweet application.
Oh, so this is essentially when we're dividing it. Because remember, South Africa, we have promised you a cheesecake at the end of the show.
Cheesecake, exactly.
But now we're just diving into all things the labna. So for our viewers who are unfamiliar with what labna is, what kind of a dish is it? And how is it a celebration of not only Middle Eastern cuisine, but Mzansi and all things South African?
You know, it's one of the things that that unites us also as a nation is curry. Everybody eats curry, doesn't matter where you're from. So labna is a nice way to kind of pull all those flavors together. We call it almost a palate cleanser. You can use it in that way, and it makes it also easy for people who can't take the strong flavors. You know what I mean? So a nice way to serve it, a very simple way, is to take the labna and plate it up.
Okay.
So simple pimple, as my mom said.
I love that. Ziana, I've got some things that are fun here. I see I've got some, is this honey? I mean, Anele was telling me what to do with this and how will this be incorporated in the meal?
We're going to make this sauce here. It's like a chili sauce, and I tasted it earlier on. It's
delicious.
Quite strong. It's delicious. So you're going to pound those, just crush your sesame seeds, the honey, and I'm going to pass you some chilies that you're going to crush in there.
Can I just put all of them in?
Yes, just put all of them in. I think so.
Don't be afraid.
And then the honey as well, and then you're going to pound it away.
Okay, and then I just kind of grind it up until it's fine.
Yes.
Now, what I like about this method is it reminds me of, okoko, nomkulu back in the day in KZN. This is essentially how they would grind their herbs. I'm talking about all things Heritage Month, taking it back to the basics.
Yeah, basically. So I'm also doing something over here. I've started with the ketchup that we're making, right? You said I must mix in the ingredients that we had. So I started off with some tomato paste. I had some allspice, some coriander. I have some salt, a bit of honey, and I've also got some garlic that I've chopped and put in there. And this is some apple cider vinegar. What else do I...
Wait with the apple cider vinegar first,
perfect.
yes. Because what's nice about it is that you can make the flavors as you wish. So if this family member likes cinnamon, you make it with the cinnamon. So you can make it sweeter, you can make it a little bit more savory, it's up to you. And once we've mixed everything together, we add the whey.
Okay.
Because the whey is going to help us to, so you can add a little bit of this.
Okay, let's do that.
And that's going to give you the kind of consistency that you like. If you like it thick, add a little bit less. But you need to add some whey because it needs to ferment.
Ferment. So this is basically like a starter process for our fermentation for the ketchup. I'm not sure if South Africa heard. We're making ketchup from scratch and it's going to be fermented. And we're using the ingredients you have at home. Tomato paste, all those spices. You can get it all on Afternoon Express. So I've added my whey here and I like my tomato ketchup very thick, so I think I'll leave it as is.
Totally.
But we've also got some that we made earlier, so this is basically ketchup. You can use it on your fries, you can use it in a mixture.
On a
We're putting it
burger.
into fricadelles later that we're going to be making.
Yes, and that ketchup has got a completely different flavor profile. And I've tasted your ketchup before, Yazana, and it actually livened up my whole palate.
Ooh,
that ketchup.
wow.
It's like it's alive, it's living. When I tasted
Totally.
it was like running around on my tongue. It's like making a party on my tongue.
I love
It's
that.
delicious.
Okay, so we are now heading towards the end of making this delicious labna. My chili sauce, South Africa is going to be hot, hot, hot. Because
be fun.
Anele has helped me here with these chili, little chopped up chilies.
Yeah.
With the sesame seeds and the honey. This is going to be delicious. I've ground it up quite nice and finely. That labna seems to be perfectly put together. I'm so excited for that palate cleanser as we get into the rest of the ingredients and the recipes that we're making throughout the show. Now that you know how to make your own labna at home, we're going to show you just how versatile this delicacy is as an ingredient. Coming up, we incorporate it in our snook pate, use our fermented chilies to make a chakalaka, and serve it with those fricadelles.
With the creamy decadence of double cream bliss from Clover, yogurt has never been so irresistible.
Made with love by Clover. Express yourself.
our Afternoon Express cook-along. Tuesdays are all about the food and making delicious ingredients in the kitchen along with your family. Now, if you would like to get the full recipe list and ingredients, please do head over to afternoonexpress.co.za. Today, we're focusing on the process of fermentation, what it means in the kitchen, how to go about fermenting your food, and more importantly, what it is good for. The health benefits are just beyond. So please do head over to our social media platforms and just engage with us throughout the show. Let us know how you feel about the process of fermentation and what it means to you and your family at home. But we do have our darling chef here who is helping us very, very in detail, I think. And that's what I appreciate, because this is my first time doing anything of the sorts.
Absolutely, and I think what's so important for South Africans, people at home, is to see how these applications can just be done in anybody's home.
Yeah.
It's not exclusive, it's not difficult.
It's not a science project.
No. It can be if you want it to be, but it's not.
Now, Dumi, talking about all things heritage, what are you
girl.
cooking up there?
Well, I'm also going back to basics, and we're using these fermentation tricks, tips and tricks and all of that to use them in our daily application at home. So I'm making one of my favorite things to have with anything. I know you mentioned what would you add. I can't add it to my cereal, but I definitely enjoy chakalaka. So I cannot go to a braai without chakalaka. I cannot enjoy vorsies without chakalaka. So we're making chakalaka today with the fermentation twist, because we're going to put the chili that we made, that chili sauce, into that chakalaka and just take it levels on levels on levels. So I'm just busy chopping up my onion here. Going to go in with some cabbage, some carrots, green peppers, baked beans, all the things I love in a chakalaka, and then that addition of the chili sauce.
I'm going to make the frikadelles. That's also very heritage food in South Africa. We love a frikadelle. I'm going to make frikadelles with a tomato sauce, the fermented tomato sauce we made earlier on. So I've got some mincemeat here. Fresh mincemeat. I'm going to add like one chopped onion. One chopped onion. I'm going to add some garlic that I've just chopped while Tumi was busy. Some garlic.
And then, Anele, when it comes to flavoring and adding that spice to your mince, what's the ratio people should use? Because sometimes I overspice and I add too much salt into my mince.
You know what I suggest to people? For every 500 grams of mince, use 1 teaspoon of salt.
Okay.
That's what I start with. That's it. So 500 grams, 1 teaspoon of salt.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I've got some onions, some herbs, some chutney. South Afrikaans says also chutney is the other thing. And I'm going to put about a tablespoon of that fantastic fermented tomato sauce in here. I'm going to chop some herbs, some chives, and I'm going to give it to you to fry off just now.
Stunning. So we've got our chakalaka, South Africa. We have got our frikadelles. So delicious. I'm so excited to taste that. But now I've got the blessing to put together this delicious pate. Now it's a snook pate, talking about keeping things local and lekker. And we've definitely used that labna from earlier as what is going to be the mixing ingredient. Again, sticking to that fermentation theme. And for yourself?
We're going to be helping with the chakalaka and making it delicious. And then hereafter, we'll be going straight into the dessert.
Okay, I love that. South Africa, if you've got all of these ingredients in mind and you want to get cooking along with us, please do head over to afternoonexpress.co.za and you can get everything you need to make this delicious meal. Now, I don't know if South Africans saw what I did here. When I'm putting together my snook pate, I just took the snook. Oh, it looks delicious. And I wanted to take off the skin. So I just went in with my hands.
That's smoked snook, eh?
Oh,
That's
it smells delicious.
It smells great.
Now, Zian, you spoke about this a little bit earlier, but I just want to go more into detail with your speciality. Talking about indigenous foods, for yourself, what is the key thing that I think you've lost over the years?
I think we've become so, our palates have become so overridden with salt and sugar. And there's so many different ways and so many different flavors. We've stopped eating bitter foods, and a lot of the food from this landscape, it's very bitter.
Yeah.
And it's so good for you to eat bitter foods, and it kickstarts the body in many different ways. So I like to, even to children, introduce different ways that you can experience these flavors and these tastes, and it becomes a lot of fun also.
Wow, I had no clue that bitter food, I just love bitter food because I'm not much of a sweet eater. So I do like the things that go at the back of your throat there.
And it awakens up your palate, doesn't it? Bitter awakens up my palate. It's the same as kimchi,
Yes,
What
absolutely.
are you doing, Zion, now?
We're starting with the chakalaka because we want the onions to be a little bit translucent.
Okay.
So we've poured our oil in.
Oh, I'm already starting to cry.
Is it?
Enjoy for a bit now.
I'm not crying, you're crying. Okay. This looks really good. The flavors are coming along together. Anele, we've been asking everyone on social media.
Yeah.
If you were to add any ingredients to your meal, please fill in that blank.
It's chilies.
Ah.
It's chilies. And I think between the two of us, you want salt, I want chilies. I think we've got a match made, hey?
A match made in heaven. Well, chilies, what I love about chilies is that it's so strong with vitamin C.
Yes. And the thing is, it also awakens your palate. You know, it's the same as bitters, salt, fermented foods, and stuff like that. But you're also using the labne that we made with Bliss. Eh?
Yes.
Remember, it's 10 nutrients in Bliss.
Wow,
Yeah.
in the Clover Bliss.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how much it kickstarts your immune system when you've got the benefits of the labna that's there, that's made from the clover bliss that has 10 nutrients. And on top of that, we're basically showing fermentation, that process. So it's basically even good for you. We're making dishes that are delicious, but also still good for you with our clover bliss. And by the way, it comes in a couple of different flavors, so it's not just the plain. So you can indulge in any of the flavors that we use for clover bliss.
Delicious. So I'm just putting the fricadelles on the pot, in the pan. The oil is perfectly heated. So I'm just going to get that cooking along.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Chef.
Helping you, Polly, here with a snook.
The snook pate.
Yeah. I love snook pate. It's just so divine.
Everything going into my snook pate are just the flavors that we love and that we appreciate. I mean, over here I've got, let me just put this down. Thank you, girl. I'm going to add the already chopped up snook into the rest of the batter. And then I'm going to take salt and pepper just to season it a little bit.
Always a bit of salt.
A little bit of salt and
pepper. A little bit of salt because if it's smoked, there's already a lot of salt in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is that labna that Chef made earlier, ne?
Exactly.
I'm going to add that into here. All of it. And then I also see that you've put some mayonnaise for me. Thank you. Add some mayonnaise. Add on that creaminess that the labna gave us.
Richness.
And then whilst I'm chopping up, what's this, Anel?
Huh? Can I chop that off for you?
Yes.
While
and this is all going to go into my pate as well. Chef, on your side, how's it going?
So I got so excited that I started throwing in the vegetables when I should have done the spices first. But Tumi's busy chopping up the vegetables. Chakalaka is so simple. You literally chuck everything in together.
Yeah.
But the nice trick to make the flavors pop is that you want to wait until the onions are translucent and then you add the spices.
Yeah.
We've got some coriander powder, some cumin powder and some mild curry powder.
Delicious.
One of my favorites. And then at the end, we're going to add some of this that we've already made, this fermented chili sauce. And a question that often comes up is that once you've cooked fermented foods, don't you lose the probiotic potential? And the truth is, yes, you do. But if you add it at the end, once you've taken it off the heat, you can keep it or also use it as a dipping sauce.
Delicious.
That's another way to do it.
Happiness. Okay, South Africa, we are halfway through this scrumptious meal using fermented ingredients. So coming up, we're going to complete this masterpiece.
With the creamy decadence of double cream bliss from Clover, yogurt has never been so irresistible.
Made with love by Clover. Express yourself.
Express Cook Along. We're back in our kitchen, of course, continuing with our snook pate, fermented chili chakalaka, and these delicious fricadelle recipes. If you just joined us and you're wondering who's standing beside me, this is Ziana Khan. I wanted to say, Ziana, the beautiful Khan. Girl, you are just giving us magic here in the kitchen. But more than ever, what I'm loving about all these ingredients is that we're mixing up Middle Eastern flavors with South African flavors.
Exactly. Because I think, all of us are such a melting pot of cultures, even individually, that it's important that we celebrate these things, really.
Absolutely.
This is a time of seeking joy wherever, however we can.
And especially in the kitchen. Now, on social media, we're also seeking your answers. I want to find out from you. Please fill in the blanks. Blank, I can add to anything. Now, this is a very difficult one because, I can think of herbs, I can think of spices, and also I can think of just incredible ingredients like our clover bliss.
Even water. You can add water to anything. But I add sugar. You know me and my sweet tooth. I cook stews and I put a bit of sugar. I make a lot of different savory dishes and I put sugar. Even my chakalaka, I put a bit of sugar. But today we're not because we're doing savory and not sweet. But
beautiful.
Yes.
But
What's happening over there?
Yeah, sugar always just balances the meal. There's those flavors. There's salt, sour, sweet, acid,
Absolutely.
and umami, and it balances it.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so what we've also finished up with, our starter is done. The things that we needed to put together, that snook pate, came together so beautifully. Anele helped me. As you can see, South Africa, our plate is ready to go.
Yeah.
We've got our crackers, we've got our carrots, we've got our celery sticks, and then I've just topped it off with that snook pate, and I think that's going to add the delicious flavor. I love it. Yes.
Oh, look at the lovely. That looks divine.
These are things that I essentially, growing up in Durban, wasn't exposed to, unfortunately. These are the flavors that I did not play with and I did not get introduced to until now. And that's what I love the most about being able to cook with people like yourself. When you think of chakalaka and putting together chakalaka, what are the key things that you cannot go without?
They have to have the spices. It must be that all the different chunky vegetable base. But I think the peas really, I don't know, for me, is what speaks to it. But the baked beans also to give it that color.
Yeah.
For me, it's the baked beans. I love baked beans.
Baked
and
beans
also
is the
just
trick for life.
makes it more filling for me, I think.
Definitely.
I've never added peas to my chakalaka. Is that do you normally get peas in chakalaka, or is it your addition, Zayan? Or?
I think this is Tumi's edition.
Oh,
this is the queen of chocolate.
Oh.
I think, it's that whole idea where you've got so many tinned goods, so many
Yes,
non-perishables in your pantry. You could literally add all of them. You can
Yes.
add butter beans. You can add you can add anything basically, and that basically makes your meal go a long way. Because yes, it's a delicious meal on its own, but if you add all of those things that are high in protein, like your legumes, it just makes the meal go much longer and actually is much more filling, like you said, Balis.
So, Chef, we were also speaking about just the health benefits and what people can look forward to when they add fermented ingredients into their food and into their recipes. You spoke about gut health and especially moving through seasons, we entering into spring and summer. What's key here? What should we be looking out for to boost those immune systems? But not only that, to keep a spring in our step.
Yeah. So having a healthy gut is really the foundation to have a healthy body. And there's so much research that's come out recently. But fermented food is so ancient. It's really a part of all of our, no matter where you are from in the entire world. Every food, culinary culture has their own fermented foods.
I love that.
And so it really forms a part of what our health means, really.
Now, something that I grew up with, and as you were speaking about fermented food, and of course we digging into our clover bliss, is amas. Oh, my sour milk. I love sour milk. I can just drink it on the go if I'm hungry.
Absolutely.
Or you can add it to upoto and have something like that. Where does amas play into all of this, especially as we're also dabbling into Middle Eastern cuisine?
Yeah. You could make labna from amas also. You could do the same thing. And what's really nice and what we can do, what's a nice way to add in some raw foods and some fresh foods is if you chop a lot of herbs very finely and you mix it, fold it into the labna.
Oh, wow.
You can cheat, you can get some extra nutrition.
That's very interesting.
I love that. So, Tumi, when you are thinking of just all things, what we've highlighted this Heritage Month in terms of taking a trip around the world, in our food, and also your own kitchen, what stands stands out for you as we are going into October?
I think the one thing that I've also just mentioned before was the fact that I love how South Africa is great on its own. There's different cultures, different people, different heritages, and the fact that we are able to celebrate our own heritage individually, but then still come together as a people in South Africa and enjoy each other's heritage. Like we're having frikadels today. I don't eat that a lot, but I know that Anal enjoys them, and I would love to enjoy that and have that at her place. She loves my chakalaka. I love Palace's spicy food every now and then. So we're all basically celebrating our heritage together.
And heritage like overlaps as well.
Yes.
Like you grew up with malva pudding. We both didn't grow up with malva pudding. Yes.
You grew up with Malkos.
Yes.
I grew up with Dean.
Yeah.
And we're still enjoying all those things and teaching each other how different our palates are and how beautiful the food actually gets when we share it together.
Exactly.
So much better when you share. That's what heritage is.
A brilliant chef.
Basically.
Now, Chef, when you were putting together the beans in that chakalaka, I saw you doing this and just smelling the food. Does that also help you decide whether your spices are cooked out?
Exactly. This is a trick that I learned from my mother, who's got a superpower sense of smell that I've inherited. She can even smell if there's enough salt in the dish.
Wow.
What?
Sorry, guys. Salt has a smell, apparently.
Okay.
It's incredible. So it's very important just as you engage, and that's why, often we are drawn to the kitchen as the things begin to cook, because the smell is reaching out to everybody's nostril.
I love that. I think that that's a skill I definitely want to walk away with, just being able to smell it. My problem, Chef, is that I am just not patient. When I'm cooking, I'm this person. I'm always lifting my pot. I'm always trying to taste. And by the time I get to the end of my food, I'm already full.
I fully understand.
So this is a good way to just make sure everything is cooked out quite well and making sure that everyone's flavor palette is being accommodated here in the kitchen.
All right, so that's perfect. I see that Chef Zan is almost done, but we did make a batch of this chakalaka earlier on, and this one doesn't have the chili sauce that we made. So can I ask you then to finish this one off for us, so South Africa can actually see what we've made. We've put in all those ingredients in there. We've got our peas, we've got our beans, we've got everything but the chili sauce that we made from our Clover Bliss. Can you imagine? So now we're going to finish it off, and then I see those frikadels. My mouth is watering now. I cannot wait to
I've got the
taste
frikadels here on the toast. So you've just got some garlic bread here. You can put any crouton or anything, put it on, and then we're going to smother it in some chakalaka. It's going to be divine.
Okay, stunning. So let's see some of that chakalaka, Chef. Is it done? Let's hit.
We're getting there. Let's add some of this chili sauce, but you know what? I'm going to add all of it.
Yes,
please. Yes.
You're going to add all of it. So I have to find out from you, as we're finishing off our savory part of the dish, if you were to answer what we've been asking everyone on social media, what would be the ingredient that you just can't go without?
I have to also answer the same as you. Hey, salt is my superpower. I've got about 20 different salts at home.
What?
And I use them in all different applications. I put salt in everything, even if it's sweet.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
definitely.
I cannot believe that there are even 20 types of salt.
Oh, no, there's thousands, hey. Ooh.
I love that. Okay, so as we're whipping this up, Anele, what are
I'm
you
waiting for my chakalaka to come. I want to finish this up. I want to wait for the chakalaka.
We are done.
I love that. Handing it over. South Africa, we have washed our hands, we've sanitized. Everything
Thank
here
you.
is ready to go.
Divine.
Absolutely. Now, we've been, infusing South African cuisine with fermented ingredients. And coming up, we continue to treat our taste buds with a whipped up cheesecake with a twist. We're using our homemade labna with a touch of speckworm. That looks delicious.
Smells delicious.
With the creamy decadence of double cream bliss from Clover, yogurt has never been so irresistible.
Made with love by Clover. Express yourself.
We want to acknowledge the healthcare students tirelessly volunteering during COVID-19
She's been a role model. She has given me so much confidence.
and give them hope for their future after this pandemic.
Here I am now, it's 10 years later, and I'm still trying to follow in his footsteps.
We're looking for current and aspiring healthcare students, graduates, interns, or those doing the community service here. Nominate yourself Receive nurturing mentorship, experience health work readiness, and stand a chance to win a 25,000 Rand scholarship. And for the mentors associated with the winner, you'll win an overseas trip to attend a medical conference of your choice. Sponsors of Brave, the next generation of Brave.
Welcome back to our Afternoon Express Cook-Along. Now, cheesecake is always a much-loved popular dessert that is often enjoyed after a delicious dinner. Today, we show you how versatile it is to use the labna that we've made from our clover bliss as an ingredient in this cheesecake recipe. And, of course, a little South African twist with the addition of spekboom. Now, Zian, I'm so excited about this. This sounds like everything I'm all about.
I'm so excited about this too.
So I just want you to show the viewers the magic that is the fermentation process.
Yes.
I don't know if the viewers remembered, if you tuned in from the top of the show, we put our clover bliss into our cheesecloth over that gorgeous jar. And if you can show them, Zian, what's happened.
So you see, we've been here just, maybe a few
40 minutes.
Yeah, 40 minutes, yeah, and that's what's been happening. So the important thing, when I said earlier, is you decant your yogurt into the cheesecloth, you leave it overnight, because we're talking drip by drip. But it's an important process, and it does take long, but the benefits are
Hunger is for now, but drip is forever.
I love that joke. So South Africa, if you want to get the ingredients to this delicious cheesecake, and we're adding our South African twist of a spekboom, please do head over to our Afternoon Express website, afternoonexpress.co.za. This looks so good. Let's start.
Yes, so I've got the spekboom part, the heritage part of our recipe here. So all I'm doing is I want to keep as much of the spekboom chunky because we want to be able to taste it in the recipe. So I know it's got a whole lot of benefits all on its own, but I'm going to try and make sure I keep it as whole as possible. And then once I'm done chopping up my spekboom, I'm going to pass it over to Master Zayan, who's going to then do everything else for us.
Exactly, and I'm busy with the filling. This is probably the most important part of the
Absolutely.
and this is also where we're going to infuse our labna into the mix, and we're basically substituting the sour cream for labna. That's the trick going to be, plus a little bit of the sweetness.
I like that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And as you're adding in that filling, can you just let us know the ingredients that's in front of you?
Absolutely. So I've got some lemon juice, a little bit of lemon juice. We've got the most delicious vanilla essence. We've got half a cup of caster sugar. We've got the yogurt, bliss yogurt, the labna, and then we're doing a dash of buttermilk as well. And all of this just gets creamed together quite evenly, and it's going to be added with the mix that you're going to be doing for us.
Okay, so in front of me there is cream, and I can feel that it's cold. I feel like it comes straight from the refrigerator. And then here, Tumi.
Yeah, that's a very important thing to note when you're whipping cream, that it's nice when it comes out of the fridge because it whips firmer. If it sits at room temperature, you're gonna basically whip forever and it won't get to that stiff peak. So we wanted to make sure it comes straight from the fridge because we want our girl to work those arms, but not for too long.
Getting my guns prepared for the summer over here. I've also got some icing sugar.
Yes.
And I'm gonna add this icing sugar to my delicious cold cream.
And it's going to complement the spekboom because the spekboom has got like an acidic flavour. I love spekboom. I love the spekboom leaves. They're full of flavour. What I also do with it, I chop it up and I put it on top of steak. I make like a salsa verde with it. It is divine. It brings out the flavour of it. And spekboom is amazing. You can actually just put one stick in the ground and it grows.
Wow.
It's very adaptive,
And what I'm doing here, I'm making the base with some cookies that I'm just crumbling up here. I'm going to add some butter, and that's all I'm doing. That's all.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, for me, the cookies are essentially what make it. Because
Digestives.
I like... Oh, so you're using digestive cookies?
Yeah. This cake has got a very subtle taste, and you don't want any little biscuits to overcrowd it, like chocolate or ginger or anything like that.
But Anel, could you substitute if somebody was having a chocolate celebration? Could they use chocolate biscuits instead?
For sure, you can definitely. But I like it plain, especially with the spekboom.
Delicious. So this is essentially a South African favorite. I love myself some cheesecake, and I know a lot of people have their own varieties and variations of cheesecake. So please do head over to our Afternoon Express social media pages and let us know how you love to enjoy your cheesecake. For me, I think it's so iconic that we're taking the spekboom, we're adding it to our ingredients, and of course the hero, which is our fermented labna. I think that's what's going to take it to that very next level. I love the fact that you have mentioned that a lot of people use sour cream, but here we're changing it up.
Yeah. The other thing, Palisa, that we didn't mention is that this is a no-bake cheesecake. So it's perfect. Keeping that whole idea of cheesecake, set it in the fridge, you still keep, like you mentioned earlier, that if you cook it, then the probiotics and all of that, it changes the effect of the food. So we're keeping it raw and, well, plain without cooking it, which means that we still keep all those nutrients that we get from the clover bliss that has now been turned into labna. And it also means less time in the kitchen. Set it in the fridge and go enjoy the rest of your meal.
I like that. I like that. This is essentially the beauty about cooking. It doesn't matter what way or what method. You all roads lead home. And as long as we can enjoy it at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So I'm whipping up my cream here.
You're going to need to whip a bit harder, Sister Queen, in the kitchen. Don't be so kamstig. You must go...
Summer guns, remember.
Yeah, summer guns.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, ladies. So for everyone at home, I know, Zayan, you literally just said that if you want to have a chocolate celebration, how else can we maybe whip this up? I love citrus flavors in cheesecake.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Some lemon. So we've got some lemon here just to bring it all together, and the acidity also helps to balance the flavors.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to say also, when you do cook with fermented food and you feel like, but I'm losing the probiotics, the biggest thing for me, probiotics are amazing and wonderful, but the biggest thing for me is fermentation makes everything more delicious. So you win with that umami. It doesn't matter if you bake it away now and again. So it's important to use it in kind of every step you can.
Now, for someone like myself who is still getting to grips with all things labna and how you can incorporate it in your different meals, we are focusing here on a cheesecake. But if I were to just stretch my imagination a little bit and go into any other type of dessert that might be able to be heroed by not only the clover bliss, but by the labna we made from it.
Yeah, it's basically, remember, it's that flavor profile that you're working with. So you could take labna and you could mash some strawberries and some raspberries in it and use that as a topping for something. You could infuse it with different, like mint, for example, and some honey.
Dukkha. I love dukkha with it.
Absolutely. So that's a great thing. We use it also with za'atar. So we make it with and some sesame seed. And then you can just gooi it on a pizza bread.
Oh, wow.
And just eat it just like that.
Yes.
Okay.
How's
Just
the
like
whipping
that.
going, Balisa?
No, you guys always make me work here. I know.
Let me do that.
When it's a Tuesday, it's all about the work in the kitchen, but it's a labor of love, and that's what it's all about. But essentially, if you're wondering why I'm whipping it up and needs to go to a stiff peak, it's because this is essentially what's going to hold together our cheesecake. For it to come out as beautifully as Anele has displayed here, we need to make sure that is at a stiff peak. We add it into Zayan's ingredients and mixture, and that is going to be the filling to our cheesecake.
Okay, I've got my spoon here that's ready for you. Can I gooi?
Yes, please.
Go.
So beautiful, that lime green, eh?
It's just gonna pop. And the
Nice.
flavor makes it's
And
perfect.
something that we always neglect to say, spekboom is also very high in vitamin C.
Yes.
So we can add it to juices, we can add it, sometimes I just chop it up and gooi it in eggs for breakfast.
Oh.
Yes.
Easy application.
But then wouldn't that change the flavor of the other ingredients? Because I know every time I taste spekboom, I feel that creaminess. I see that citrusy flavor coming through, but I can't imagine that in my eggs.
No, I love it. Eh? It's just, I think it's more than anything, because when you cook it, it goes away a little bit, but it's the texture for me. I love that, because it's got a little bit of that gel in it. It's really good.
It is not stiff peaks, but my arms are a bit...
Okay, I love that. But essentially, this will go into chef's mixture
Yes.
over there, and then we can slowly start adding it. Oh, let's do that. Let's put that
Oh,
down.
touch.
So after we've mixed this into a stiff peak, you're going to add that in there, and essentially, we're going to put that all into the crust. So can I just give this to you, and we can pretend as if...
We can pretend that we've got some stiff peaks, and then
Yeah.
also to say that we want to chill the base. That's quite important also, because it needs to, the batter needs to harden again and create a base that'll stand as beautifully as that one is.
Okay, Stan.
So let's pretend it's stiff peaks. You will kind of whip it in. And also the cream that I've been busy with will also be much smoother.
Lovely.
So let's get going.
Moving away. Oh, I love that. This
And,
is essentially something that, you know, for someone like me, as we've always said, Dumi, who doesn't have a sweet tooth, cheesecake is that perfect in between.
And that's perfect because while you're biting into the cheesecake, even if it might be a little sweet, the spekboom will basically clear your palate because of that nice citrus flavor. So you basically are going to end up having the whole cake because it constantly just cleanses your palate.
I'm
and
gonna
then you
have
keep
the whole
going in
cake,
for
yeah.
more.
And I would recommend you start from the center and you work your way out, so you keep that integrity of the base. You see what I'm saying?
Now, with all that interesting infusions and labor of love that has gone into making this meal, I cannot wait to try it. All that mouth-watering deliciousness coming up.
With the creamy decadence of double cream bliss from Clover, yogurt has never been so irresistible.
Made with love by Clover. Express yourself.
welcome back to our Afternoon Express Loft, where we have decked out our delicious dining room table with the incredible food that we've made. So Dumi's waiting for me to say the words, and the words are, let's eat. Okay, so what I'm so excited about, Tuesdays mean the Insider SA. I mean, South Africa, if you do not know what I'm talking about already, the Insider SA is a brand new show that I'm so loving watching right now. It highlights everything that we're about as South Africans, and in essence, giving us the inside scoop on all things Mzansi.
I know, right? Like this weekend, they're going to be showcasing Unkuli Mlangeni Berg. Her crazy textiles. She's literally flying the South African flag high. And the other thing is, we're so used to people being in other countries like the US and the UK. Well, she's there in Sweden and she's killing it.
Yeah. You know when you say you're taking someone from South Africa, Mzansi, and you're taking them all the way across the world in Europe, but still representing. I'm all about that. Whilst you're grabbing that snook pate, what are you most looking forward to when it comes to the Insider SA? The theme this week at 7:30 is curation.
I heard there's going to be a little snippet about Bertus Bassan and the garden that he has at his place, and cooks everything from there.
Yeah.
That's my
He
vibe.
was voted, like, I think last year, the best chef in the country. So it's really something to look forward to. I can't wait.
I just love how it's shot, guys. The quality of the shots, the scenery, it's all just looks beautiful. And guys, should you miss it at 7:30 tonight, be sure to catch it at Saturday at 8 p.m. So you don't want to miss it.
Yeah, I had the blessing of meeting Bertus Bassan last year. It was at the Appetite Fest in Pretoria. I had a masterclass by him. Trust me, he put me through my paces. So I'm very much looking forward to tonight's episode at 7:30 on SABC3 South Africa. And as Dumi has already said, if you do miss tonight's episode, worry not, because there is a repeat on Saturday at 8 p.m. But ladies, we have to check out this bomb promo.
Join us tonight at 7:30 as the Insider SA explores the theme of curation. Meet creative designer Nkuli Mlangeni, who's expressing her African heritage in Sweden. Learn how top chef Bertus Bassan is inspired by his childhood to create award-winning dishes. And discover a bespoke furniture design studio drawing insight from nature. That's the Insider SA, tonight at 7:30, only on SABC3.
The Insider SA, I can't wait. But ladies, how's the food tasting?
So good.
There's cheesecake.
Very happy.
Everything is so refreshing. Everything is so light. And the fact that it's all done from fermented goods, guys. I mean, this is guilt-free. Guilt-free for real.
Guilt-free
This
cheesecake.
one as well.
Let me see how guilt-free this cheesecake is.
You already started with your palate cleanser, your labna, and how is that? Is that everything you wanted it to be?
So great. The olive oil also really gives it a nice kind of mouthfeel as well. And you can eat it, the snook pate. Well done. Well done with that.
South Africa? I killed that snook pate. I did the things that make the pots happen. This snook pate is delicious. Oh, and all the flavors coming together. I love it.
I feel like this is summer on a table, basically, because all of these are so light and so refreshing and so summery and so within season.
Yeah.
And guys, we're celebrating our heritage. Isn't this amazing?
Absolutely. And you know, as we are nearing the end of September, I love September because it gives us an opportunity to celebrate all things local and lekker. But more than anything, some people don't know that September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And what I like about labna and all the things that we've made here, the fermentation of it, I mean, it is so nutritious and good for almost anyone. I think that when we need to boost up our immune systems and help support us within the health, what we put in our bellies is so important.
So true.
You are what you eat.
Absolutely. So what does it say if I'm going to eat some chakalaka with my cheesecake?
Let's see that. I like that. Oh my goodness. So when you we're on level 1 now. And level 1 lockdown means that things are opening up slowly but surely. Zayan, what are you most looking forward to in lockdown shortly?
You know, I have a brand new baby. So I'm really looking forward to introducing my baby to my family, my extended family and my dear friends.
Oh, congratulations.
So that's the big thing for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for not only sharing your baby with us, but your delicious labna and fermented process, making food that much more delicious. Now catch us again tomorrow, Mzansi, as we're joined by honest personal trainer and gymnast Jared Morstad, who will give us real insight into what it takes to truly transform your body. Until then, Mzansi, good night, stay safe and happy eating. Clover has been a part of our South African heritage for over 120 years and wishes you all a happy Heritage Month. Made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.